Hey there, Taylor back here with you. Some of you took my laptop lifestyle quiz, which if you haven't, no worries, I will post it down in the description below. It's all about asking questions if you are ready to live a laptop lifestyle. Now, the one thing that we haven't really talked about yet is that this is a lifestyle. Being a digital nomad, working remotely and traveling is a lifestyle choice. And with that choice and lifestyle change becomes some challenges. So today I just want to go over 3 different challenges that people face when trying to make a lifestyle change and specifically trying to get into the digital nomad lifestyle. So let's go ahead and jump in and talk about those. So these are not all the challenges that you face when starting a new lifestyle or transitioning into a new lifestyle, but they are 3 pretty common ones that I just wanted to go over and give you some advice based on my own personal experience. Real quick, if you don't know my history, I was a study abroad advisor for about 6 years. And then I created my own online virtual assistant business so that I could actually travel the world and work remotely. I'm currently an online business manager, an OBM. I traveled full time for 2 years pre-COVID, so I've been kind of grounded since then, but I do plan to get back out on the road when it is safe to do so. So I am an OBM, that is part of my income, and then I also have a blog and a YouTube channel called Traveling Taylor, where I talk about my digital nomad lifestyle. So that is me, that is what I do. And there were a lot of challenges along the way for sure in doing something that no one in my family has ever done. So if you are in that same boat, I understand, I'm with you. And here are some of my best advice for that transition. So the first thing that you really need to know and be able to hold on to is knowing your why. And this is really for any lifestyle change. If you're trying to improve your eating habits, if you're trying to, add workouts more readily to your week or anything like that, a huge lifestyle change requires knowing your why. You have to know what your motivation is. So for me, I mentioned I was a study abroad advisor, but before that, I did a 6-month internship in London where I was working and living in the city. That was my why. Even when I was there, I knew 6 months was not long enough and I wanted to do that again. Then working and study abroad didn't quite help me because I talked about travel all the time, but I didn't get to go anywhere. So my why really came down to travel. Your why could be something completely different. Even being a digital nomad, it doesn't mean your why has to be travel. Your why could be having more online freedom. Your why could be you want to live at the beach 6 months out of the year. Your why could be you want to have more time to volunteer. Maybe volunteer times kind of fall during the day for an organization that you want to be with. Maybe that is your why. It doesn't matter what your why is, but you have to know what it is, because when things get hard and when you don't feel supported in your decisions, you have to know what it is for you that's internally motivating you to make that lifestyle change. So 1, know your why and give your why meaning. Now, a second challenge that people faced beyond staying motivated is actually making the transition. Maybe you know your why, but you're struggling to actually get there, which is very common in all sorts of things. The best thing to do is to make a plan. I preach this all the time. I am not someone who is just quit your job and leave the next day and go to New Zealand and just do it. I mean, maybe that's for you, but that's not for me. And I don't think that works for a lot of people. So my advice is to make a plan. If you don't currently have a remote job or a job that's flexible, step 1 would be to get a remote job and a flexible job. And if you're struggling with that piece right there, be sure to grab my Finally Fully Remote guide down in the description below. And that will help you with that first piece. I created this specifically to help people with this very first step of the plan. Now, maybe you already have a remote job or a job that you could take remotely, but you don't really know how to leave your rent and your car and your whatever to actually go and spend some time overseas, or even what country to pick. There are so many resources online, and I'm not going to go into all of them in this video because that would be way too long. But whatever it is, whatever your obstacles are in your process, be sure to just make a plan. So again, for me, this process looked like creating an online business. I did that in March. The first thing I did was I went on my first solo trip to make sure that I could travel internationally by myself and be okay. And that was in March. Then in May, I started my online business. October, I quit my job and moved in with my mom for 6 months, which I had the ability to do. You may not have that ability. So know what your resources and limitations are and work with them. So I moved into my mom's house. I stayed there. I knew that I could get a visa for New Zealand for a year. So I decided to start in New Zealand. And as I was in the process of figuring out where am I going to live in New Zealand, this is like maybe 2 months before I left. I had my flight booked. I had my job going. I had my visa. I had all the things. I did not know where I was going to stay. I stumbled upon house sitting and I decided, hey, that is how I'm going to be able to do it. And that's how I'm going to travel the world. So you don't have to have all the answers today. Some of the things you can figure out along the way, but that was my plan. And the minute I booked that flight, then I had a deadline. So that's another way you can work with your plan, is to give yourself, even if they're just your own deadlines, give yourself some deadlines and metrics to meet. And that will actually help you complete the transition process from corporate desk job to digital nomad. And the third challenge, which I kind of hinted at a little bit earlier, is not feeling supported. So maybe your family and friends just don't really understand. Maybe no one in your circle is interested in quitting their job and doing the same thing as you are. I would say that's pretty common. I don't know. There are nomad couples, there are people who travel together, but you meet a lot of solo travelers in this sort of lifestyle and in this niche. And so that's okay. If you have to do this on your own, that's okay. Know again what your personal limitations are with that, and then try to find support in other ways. So maybe it's joining a local group that likes to travel. Digital nomads obviously spending a lot of time online, so jump into some Facebook groups. Facebook groups are really great, actually. And then as you travel, you'll start to meet other ones through co-working spaces or local expat groups or something like that. So kind of go beyond. If you're really looking to make a lifestyle change and you don't already have a lot of people living that lifestyle, you're going to have to go out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to go beyond your friends and family and find those people in other places. The other thing you can do is join travel like nomad groups. I've talked about Hacker Paradise multiple times before, and that's a organization that I went on trips with. So that is one option, but there are a lot of those out there. So if you're nervous about doing it by yourself for the very first time, that's okay. There are people and organizations out there to support you. So just go find them and find the ones that work for you. That is all the advice I have for you today. I hope that helps get you started. Lifestyle changes are hard. So no one's going to say that they aren't, but just make sure that you know your why, you make a plan, and you find support in other ways. So thanks for being here, you guys. I appreciate it so much. Be sure to subscribe for more information on travel, online business, digital nomad, all the things that I like to talk about. So thanks for being here, and I will see you next week.